first came out of the doctoral studies that I was involved in. And this is where the focus of this is about knowing that we are implementing play with intentionality and consistency. So before we can get good data, we have to know that the play practices that are being implemented by teachers reflect the kind of practices that we know the research says will give us the outcomes that we want, right? So if we see in the research that play says builds children's self-management skills, this is an outcome of play, then we need to know that the teacher knows how to support a child to do that within play. What are the practices that do that? And this is the missing bit at the moment for many of our teachers. This is the knowledge to practice gap, right? So what we did is, rather than focus on getting outcomes for students, we focused on improving outcomes for teacher play practice. And what I'm particularly excited about is we now have an updated version of the research version, which is our culturally responsive Indigenous play framework, Aramātai Akua Tākaro. And that there is particularly relevant to New Zealand, but it is a framework that was created to reflect Indigenous ways of learning that could be adapted for First Nations, Indigenous cultures as well, looking at play through an Indigenous lens. And so I'll talk about that research in a moment. This is just an example of one aspect of the tool. It is a scoring sheet for one part. So the tool itself has 5 sections in the latest version 2. Section A has cultural connection as the first one, so how our teacher reflects the culture of the students in the class and supports that. Section B is how do they set up the learning environment for play. Section C is what are their teacher behaviours that we would want, and that's the biggest section. There's over 15 practices there that describe some of these practices. For example, here are in that section around what teachers do when children are playing and how well they do them. Section C is teacher behaviour. Section D, overall teaching practices, including how we plan and assess for play. So there are sections in the BLOT that talk with teachers about what are you going to do to gather evidence that this is working, and how are you going to communicate that to the student, first of all, to parents, to the community. And then section E is counterproductive practices. So these are 9 practices that we would not want to see if you are saying that you understand the principles of student-led learning, child-centered learning, agentic learning, inquiry learning, and so on. And often this is where we can work with teachers who are caught in the middle between a traditional way of teaching and they're wanting to do some more innovative ways, but they've got these old habits. And so that section really brings those up for us and we can have a look at them. So how this tool is used is it is used by a trained person. They go in and they complete an observation and they score teachers on the basis of a 1 to a 5, 1 being little evidence of these practices, 5 being strong evidence. And so it shows the strengths of practice and areas of need. At the same time that the coach is doing this, teachers are also given a teacher version. And this is a checklist I'm going to give access to you guys at the end of the webinar for you to have a little look at. So this is a checklist tool that is also created as a strengths and needs tool. And it allows you as a teacher to look at it and go, I don't think I do much of that. I think I'm doing a little bit of that. Oh no, I'm doing that really, really well, right? And so you can do a strengths and needs analysis as well. And then what happens in the professional development that we offer is we come together with that data and we look at what you think you're doing well. We look at what I saw you doing well, and we celebrate those things. But it also highlights where we agree on an area of need. And that starts the professional development conversation. So it's a really cyclical way of looking at how we can incrementally improve teacher practice aligned with their knowledge. So sometimes we pick up knowledge gaps and we fill those as well. Sometimes it helps us navigate the complexity of the classroom. Often and more at the moment, I'm having conversations with teachers around the needs of their children in the class and how does play help and what can we do to adapt to the need of the class and so on. But there's all sorts of things that we do. A lot of the practices that are in here, as I say, are all about helping the teacher build confidence in what they're doing and grow the frequency and quality of the skills that they have, along with building their knowledge of the curriculum so that they are able to align play with the curriculum in a confident way. And that's the very start of being able to then evidence the impact. When we have great play going on, then we know we have lots of data to be able to share, and that's really important.